There is a quiet war happening every day. You don't see the bullets or the smoke, but it's there. It begins the moment you wake up and reach for your phone. It's the war for your attention. And the truth is, most people are losing. They're not losing because they're weak or lazy. They're losing because they never knew they were in a battle to begin with. Distraction is no longer a rare inconvenience. It has become the baseline. Notifications light up like fireworks. Advertisements follow you from one app to the next, like shadows that never leave. Autoplay ensures you never stop watching. Algorithms learn your patterns better than you know yourself. And in the midst of it all, your focus, your most sacred asset, gets quietly stolen. Every tap, every scroll, every mindless hour slips through your fingers without you noticing. And when the day ends, you wonder why you feel exhausted but unaccomplished. Let me tell you something you may already know deep down. You do not lack motivation. You lack clarity. You do not lack discipline. You lack intention. The real problem is not that you don't know what to do. The real problem is that you've allowed yourself to be pulled in every direction except the one that matters. Imagine this. Every single day you wake up with one task that, if completed, could move your life forward. It may be uncomfortable, it may be boring, but it's clear. Write that page. Make that call. Start that workout. Fix that broken thing. But instead of doing it, you let distractions creep in. You check your messages. You refresh your email. You reorganize your desktop. You do everything except the one thing that actually matters. And yet, deep inside, there's a quiet voice that keeps whispering you know what you need to do. You're just not doing it. So here is the shift. From distraction to intention. From reacting to your day to designing it. From running on autopilot to becoming fully aware of where your energy goes. And it starts with a question. What do I want to focus on today? Not what is screaming for my attention. Not what is urgent or noisy. But what is important? What will actually move me forward? Ask this every morning before your day begins. Write it down. Keep it simple. Then build your day around that answer. Start small. Give yourself 1 hour. One focused hour with no phone, no tabs, no background noise. Just you and the work. 1 hour of ruthless concentration. It's enough to change the course of your day. Enough to remind you that your mind is still yours to command. Once you do this for a week, your brain begins to remember what presence feels like. You begin to crave focus, the way you once craved novelty. And something beautiful happens. You feel yourself coming back to life. Your attention is your life force. Where it goes, your energy follows. Your thoughts follow. Your entire reality follows. So if you allow your attention to be scattered, so will your progress, your peace, your confidence. But when you take that attention and point it like a laser toward what matters most, you begin to shape your life with intention, one moment at a time. The world is loud. It always will be. But you don't have to let it drown out your purpose. You can reclaim your time. You can redirect your focus. You can choose intention. And when you do, the distractions may still knock at your door, but you will no longer answer, because now you remember what it feels like to be fully present, fully alive, fully in control. That is the first shift. Not to do more, but to do what matters. Not to chase everything, but to aim at something real. In the end, the most powerful tool you will ever wield is your own attention. Guard it well, and let your intention lead the way. A cluttered room reflects a cluttered mind. A chaotic screen mirrors a chaotic soul. What surrounds you shapes you more than you know, and what fills your environment slowly seeps into your spirit. That is why the next shift is simple, yet profound. Reclaim your mind by reclaiming the spaces you dwell in. Clean the noise from your life so you can hear your own thoughts again. Look around your physical space. Your room, your desk, your kitchen. Do they reflect calm, clarity, and purpose? Or do they reflect delay, distraction, and disorder? Every object you allow into your environment either supports your goals or pulls you further from them. That pile of clothes you keep saying you'll fold later. That drawer filled with wires and things you forgot existed. That cluttered desk with receipts, wrappers, and reminders of everything undone. These are not harmless details. They are mental residue. Visual reminders of chaos. And they slowly chip away at your inner stillness. When you take time to clean your space, you are not just tidying up. You are practicing self-respect. You are saying, I deserve to work in a space that honors my focus. I deserve to sleep in a room that promotes peace. I deserve a home that reflects who I want to become. This is not about perfection. It is about alignment. When your outer world is in order, your inner world breathes easier. But the detox does not stop there. Your digital space is equally sacred. In fact, it may be even more important. Because that little device in your pocket is not just a tool. It is a portal. And unless you control it, it will control you. How many times have you opened your phone for one thing and ended up lost in 10 others? You check your messages, then somehow you're on a news site, then a YouTube rabbit hole, then back to Instagram, and suddenly 30 minutes are gone. Not productive, not present, just gone. Reclaim your digital space by making it intentional. Unsubscribe from noise. Turn off notifications. Use tools that limit access to what distracts you most. Move your phone out of reach when you need to focus. Log out of apps that drain your energy. Delete those you no longer use. Curate your feeds like you curate your mind. Follow people who uplift, who teach, who inspire. Mute the rest. Because what you consume becomes what you think. And what you think becomes who you are. Create digital boundaries. Choose windows for social media instead of letting it bleed into every moment. Schedule breaks for content. But when you work, truly work. And when you rest, truly rest. The more you compartmentalize your digital use, the more peace you will feel returning to your life. There is also beauty in reclaiming analog rituals. Writing on paper, reading a physical book, taking walks without headphones, sitting with your own thoughts. These small moments are how you reconnect with your essence, because in the silence, you remember who you are without the noise. A detox space is not about austerity. It is about freedom. The freedom to think, to feel, to create without friction. The freedom to be present with what matters. To sit in a room and not be bombarded by 100 invisible voices pulling your focus away. When your space is aligned with your values, your actions follow. When your mind is no longer overstimulated, your soul awakens. The noise fades, the clarity returns. And suddenly, the path ahead feels less overwhelming, less crowded, more yours. This is the second shift. Create space for your mind to breathe. Design an environment that supports the person you are becoming. And watch how your clarity, your calm, and your creativity begin to rise like the sun after a long and restless night. Before you chase more, pause. Before you search for the next thing, stop and look around. Because the secret to abundance does not begin with addition. It begins with recognition. It begins with gratitude. Gratitude is not some fluffy idea reserved for quiet moments and soft music. It is a perspective, a weapon against chaos, a compass that points you back to what is real. It reminds you that even if life is imperfect, even if goals remain unfinished, there is still beauty here. There is still good. There is still something to be thankful for. We live in a world that constantly tells us we are not enough, that we need more. More success, more attention, more likes, more stuff. But the truth is, what you appreciate, appreciates. When you train your mind to recognize what is already good, you multiply it. Not in theory. In experience. because suddenly you begin to feel the richness of life you used to overlook. You wake up and feel the softness of your sheets. You drink water and notice its coolness. You hear laughter and let it linger in your soul. You look at someone you love and realize they are not guaranteed to be there forever. And in that moment, your heart softens. You slow down. You see clearly. That is gratitude in action. Not just a feeling, a way of seeing. But this way of seeing must be practiced, because the mind does not default to gratitude. It defaults to what is missing, what is wrong, what might go wrong. That is why you must make gratitude a daily ritual, not for the sake of being positive, but for the sake of being grounded. Grateful people are not naive. They are not blind to pain. They are simply aware of blessings even in the storm. So begin your day with a simple question. What am I grateful for today? Write it down. Speak it out loud. Let it sink into your bones. Be specific. Not just I am grateful for life, but I am grateful for the way the morning light falls on my desk. I am grateful for the message I received from a friend. I am grateful for the fact that I can move, breathe, and chew. The more you do this, the more your brain will begin to scan the world for the good instead of the bad. And this shift, though subtle, will change how you feel about your life. Suddenly, you will notice that life is not as empty as it once seemed. That joy is not a destination, but a byproduct of presence. That enough was never a number. It was a mindset. Grounding yourself in gratitude does not mean denying hardship. It means expanding your awareness so that hardship does not define you. It means holding both joy and pain in the same hand and still saying thank you. Because every experience, every lesson, every breath is a part of your becoming. Let this be your anchor. In moments of stress, return to gratitude. In seasons of uncertainty, return to gratitude. Not because it fixes everything, but because it reminds you that not everything is broken. You are still here, still growing, still capable of love, of learning, of change. This is the third shift. To see your life not through the lens of lack, but through the lens of love. Because when you do, you stop chasing what is next and start cherishing what is now. You do not need to work 8 hours a day to change your life. You do not need to move mountains or master everything at once. You simply need to focus. Deeply, daily, and deliberately. 1 hour. That is all it takes. 1 hour of pure, undistracted focus on what matters most. If you do this every day, your life will shift in ways that will surprise you. Because most people do not fail from lack of talent or even lack of effort. They fail from fragmentation, from splitting their attention into 100 directions and never committing to one long enough to see results. Focus is a discipline of devotion. It means choosing the important over the urgent. It means saying no to distractions, not because they are evil, but because they are irrelevant to your purpose. It means treating your time as sacred, not just your work hours, but the hours where you create, build, and shape your future. The ritual begins with commitment. Set a time. Same time each day if possible. Create a space that supports focus. Clean desk. No phone. No noise. Just you and the task that moves you closer to who you want to become. It could be writing, studying, planning, practicing, creating. Whatever it is, make it specific. Make it real. Set a timer if needed. But during that hour, honor the process. Do not break it for anything. Do not negotiate with yourself. Show up, even when it feels hard, especially when it feels hard. Because the resistance you feel is a sign that you are moving towards something meaningful. And here is the secret. The first 20 minutes will always be the hardest. Your brain will search for escape. Your fingers will itch for the phone. Your thoughts will wander. But push through that threshold. Reach the other side. Because beyond that wall is the flow state. a place where time slows and creation accelerates, a place where you feel alive. This is not about perfection. Some days your focus will be sharp, other days it will falter. That is okay. The goal is not flawless concentration. The goal is consistency. Show up every day, even for just 1 hour, because that hour compounds. 1 hour a day becomes 30 hours a month, 360 hours a year. That is a body of work. That is progress you can see, touch, and be proud of. And more than the results, you will begin to notice something deeper. A shift in how you think, how you hold yourself, how you move through the world. Focus rewires your brain. It trains your attention. It strengthens your discipline. It rebuilds your confidence. Because now, you are not reacting to life. You are building it. This is the fourth shift. Turn focus into a sacred ritual. Guard 1 hour like it is gold, because it is. And let that hour remind you that you are capable of creating change. Not someday, but today. Pain is a part of life. So is struggle. So is failure. These things are not the enemy. They are the curriculum. They are the dark soil in which strength, wisdom, and character take root. And the only difference between someone who grows and someone who stays stuck is perspective. That is where gratitude comes in. Not just as a comfort in good times, but as a reframe in difficult ones. Because when you can find something to be thankful for even in your lowest moments, you take your power back. You refuse to let hardship define you. You decide what the story means. This does not mean you pretend the pain is not real. It does not mean you smile through grief or minimize your struggle. It means you expand your vision. You look for the lesson, the silver thread, the inner transformation that could not have happened any other way. Maybe the setback forced you to slow down. Maybe the rejection pushed you to a path that better fits your truth. Maybe the heartbreak cracked you open just enough for real love to find you. Maybe the loss reminded you of what truly matters. Whatever it is, there is always something to gain. Even in the breaking, there is becoming. Gratitude reframing is a practice. When you face a challenge, ask yourself, what might this be teaching me? What can I grow from here? What strength is being revealed in me? This shift takes time. It requires honesty. But once you begin to see life this way, you become resilient. Not because you avoid pain, but because you learn how to rise from it. When you reframe your past with gratitude, you stop being a victim of it. You stop carrying resentment. You release the weight of old stories, and in doing so, you free your future. You begin to live lighter, clearer, more open to joy. This is the fifth shift. To see pain not as punishment, but as preparation. To meet your suffering with curiosity, not fear. And to thank life, even in the hard chapters. Because somehow, even there, it is shaping you into something stronger, deeper, and more true. Life is not changed by grand declarations. It is changed in the quiet moments. The ones nobody sees. The ones that pass by unnoticed, unless you choose to notice them. That is where this next shift begins. Not in adding more to your schedule, but in infusing more meaning into what is already there. Gratitude anchors are powerful because they transform ordinary moments into sacred ones. They give shape to your energy, direction to your awareness, and rhythm to your day. They remind you that presence is always possible, even in the smallest routines. Choose a habit you already do. Brushing your teeth, washing your hands, making your bed, walking to your car, drinking your first cup of water. These are not meaningless tasks. They are opportunities, anchors, and if you attach a moment of gratitude to each of them, you begin to live on purpose. You begin to reprogram your nervous system. You teach your brain that gratitude is not an occasional thought, it is a constant orientation. So when you brush your teeth, Think about one thing you are thankful for that happened yesterday. When you drink your coffee, reflect on something good that is coming today. When you step outside, breathe in the air and say quietly to yourself, I am grateful to be alive. These moments seem small, but they are not. They create a ripple, a momentum, because they teach your mind to look for the good. And what you look for, you will find. If you train your attention to return again and again to what is good, you begin to shift the entire tone of your life. These anchors also serve another purpose. They help interrupt negative spirals. When your day starts to unravel, when stress creeps in, when you feel overwhelmed or off balance, returning to a gratitude anchor brings you back. It grounds you. It reminds you that not everything is falling apart, that peace is still possible, that clarity can still be restored. And perhaps most importantly, these small rituals are acts of self-love. They are gentle reminders that your experience matters, that your energy deserves to be protected, that you are not just rushing through life, you are savoring it, you are participating in it, fully, actively, intentionally. Stacking gratitude onto your habits does not take extra time. It takes awareness, and the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, you will not have to remind yourself. It will simply be the way you move through the world. Present, attentive, grateful. This is the sixth shift. Use the life you already have to build the life you want. Turn everyday routines into sacred touchpoints, and let each one remind you that joy is not something you wait for. It is something you create, one quiet moment at a time. There is a rhythm inside you that longs to be honored, a pace that is not frantic or forced, a way of living that feels both focused and free. And that is what this final shift is all about. Designing a life of intentional flow, a life where discipline and joy are not opposites. They are partners. Discipline without soul becomes punishment. It becomes cold, rigid, and draining. But discipline with soul becomes art. It becomes structure that supports your freedom. A rhythm that holds your energy like a riverbank holds the current. It guides, but it does not restrict. It shapes, but it does not suffocate. The first step is to define what a fulfilling day looks like for you. Not for the world, not for a version of you that exists only in fantasy, but for the real you. The one that needs rest, craves connection, loves learning, wants to contribute. What does that person need? What nourishes that person? What inspires them? What drains them? Begin there. Then design your schedule to reflect those truths, not to cram productivity into every moment, but to create a flow, a movement between work and rest, between solitude and community, between effort and ease. Let your schedule become an expression of your values, not a cage for your time. Use blocks. Use rituals. Use transitions. Wake up with clarity. Start your work with intention. Pause at midday to reconnect. Close your workday with gratitude. Unwind in the evening without guilt. Go to sleep knowing you live the day with presence. And yes, there will be days that fall apart, that slip off track, that feel messy and undone. That is part of being human. But when your life has a rhythm, it is easier to return, easier to reset. Because now you are not guessing how to live. You have a structure, a map, a path. Intentional living does not mean perfect control. It means deep connection. It means being honest about what works and what does not. It means being brave enough to say no to things that do not align. It means learning to trust your own inner pace, even when it is slower than the world around you. This is not a sprint. This is not a race. This is a lifetime. And the life that is lived best is the one lived in alignment. Alignment between your values and your actions, your energy and your choices, your goals and your gratitude. This is the seventh shift. Do not just plan your life. Design it. Build it from the inside out. Make it sustainable. Make it joyful. Make it true. And above all, let it be yours. Now you have the map. 7 shifts, each one small but powerful, each one simple but transformative. They are not magic, they are not glamorous, but they are real, and they work. Shift your attention, and you reclaim your focus. Detox your space, and you clear your mind. Ground yourself in gratitude, and you awaken your heart. Create a daily focus ritual, and you build momentum. Reframe your pain, and you grow through challenge. Anchor your energy, and you live with more presence. Design your life, and you begin to live on purpose. This is not about becoming someone else. It is about returning to who you were before the noise took over, before the world told you who to be, before you forgot that the real power has always lived within you. You do not need permission to change. You do not need to wait for a new year, a Monday, or a sign. You only need to begin, right here, right now. 1 hour of focus, 1 act of gratitude, 1 decision. To live with more intention. Because when you change how you see your time, you change how you use it. When you change how you see your pain, you change how you heal. And when you change how you see your life, you change what it becomes. You were never meant to live distracted. You were never meant to chase endlessly. You were meant to live awake, to create with clarity, to love with fullness, to walk through this life with both discipline and grace. So take a breath. Take 1 step. The shift begins now, and it begins with you.